Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
He picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! We'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is the OG Hour. Patrick Allen here with you, as always, flying solo today. Verderam is down at the Senior Bowl. Adam Best is out of pocket, so I got to get you ready for New Orleans all by myself. But that's okay. It's good to see everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Arrowhead Addict podcast, check out the link in the description. How's everybody feeling out there? Let me know in the chat how you're feeling since the AFC Championship game. This is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you guys since we were having the victory party and the Chiefs took down the Buffalo Bills. It's been a wild week, man. For us here at Arrowhead Addict, myself and Sterling, producer Richard, producer Hunter, producer Sean, who's an Eagles fan, by the way, we're all getting ready to go down to New Orleans. We're going to be there. I'm leaving on Sunday. We're going to be out there. We're going to be on Bourbon Street doing the whole thing, and we're going to be on Radio Row all week. You know, our schedule, Monday night is opening night. So right then, that's when you need to lock into Arrowhead Addict. You need to be following us all on Twitter because we'll be putting content up there. But starting on Monday night, opening night, we're going to be there. We're going to be asking questions of the Chiefs, of the Eagles. That's a really crazy fun time. It's right there in the stadium, down on the field, which is really cool. And then, starting on Monday, Tuesday, that's when we go and we set up on Radio Row. So Sterling and I will be doing live Arrowhead Addict podcast from Radio Row, all kinds of different times. So if you're subscribed to us on YouTube, you got to make sure that you have notifications turned on. So when we go live, you'll be able to see us. We've got a lineup of great guests, some former Chiefs. I believe we're going to be talking about Hall of Famer Will Shields. So I'm really jacked up, excited for that one. I think Warren Moon might be on. There's just a crazy lineup of guests that we're going to be talking to: entertainers, former NFL players, Hall of Famers, greats, media personalities. I think we're talking to Mike Golick Sr. So it's going to be, the coverage is going to be crazy. We're going to get everybody's opinion on the game, on the Chiefs. So never do we have a crazy lineup of guests like we do during Super Bowl week. If you don't know, what we do here at Fansided is we do what we call unified reporting with Special Olympics. Special Olympics is a great partner of ours, and we hire a couple of Special Olympics athletes to work with us as reporters on Radio Row all week long at opening night. And my guy Malcolm Harris Gowdy, who's been with us for the last couple of years, is going to be there again, and he and I will be at the game live inside the Superdome for the Super Bowl, covering the game, pregame, and of course we'll be there in the press conferences after. So you are just getting the absolute best possible coverage from Arrowhead Addict, and that's not counting all the stuff that we're going to relay to Matt Connor and the team back at arrowheadaddict.com on the site. So just to fire you up, just to gas you up, like, this is it, man. Like, the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. We're going to be down there. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So make sure you don't miss it. Verderam will be there too for SI. He's going to stop by the show. So we're going to have a blast, and I can't wait for you guys all to enjoy the coverage that we got down there. Got a fun show for you today. We got some news items to hit. We'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, kind of the fallout from the Bills game, what to expect. And then I went a little crazy, and I've got a little bit of a fun bit here. I'm going to rank the Chiefs rivals, but not maybe in the way that you would normally be used to. We're talking Raiders, Broncos. Yeah, like those guys are all on the list. But we're going to do some fun things as well in terms of some of the other types of rivals that you might not expect from the Chiefs. Sorry about that. Just needed to fire up the old YouTube. Okay, so let's dive in. And again, make sure that you are subscribed to the Arrowhead Addict podcast on YouTube so you know when we go live next week at the Super Bowl. Okay, so let's hit to some news here. So this one, I haven't been able to chance to go back and see the exact play yet or the exact moment because I've been working all day. But the Chiefs took the podium. I think it was today or maybe yesterday when they revealed this. But both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes talked about it. The Chiefs ran 65 toss power trap, the famous play from the Hank Stram Chiefs on the Bills in the AFC Championship game. I didn't score a touchdown. I believe it ended up being a pass to Isaiah Pacheco. But how friggin' cool is that those guys busted out 65 toss power trap in the AFC Championship game against the Bills? It's such a classic Chiefs play. I see Chiefer. It's Chiefer 65 toss power trap in the chat says, "Let's effing go." Yeah, just it reminds me of like obviously the Rose Bowl parade, corn dog, Tom and Jerry, all these famous plays that Andy Reid has helped usher into Chiefs history. And how cool is it that they did a nod to those Hank Stram teams and ran 65 toss power trap? I believe when they interviewed Patrick Mahomes about it this week, he said, "Hey, like next time we want to make sure we get it and make sure we get it in the end zone." But he talked a lot about how there's so much history around a team, a historical organization like the Chiefs, and he gets to hear about some of this stuff from Andy Reid. And one of their meeting rooms is 65 toss power trap and all of those things. So just really, really cool way for the Chiefs to pay homage in an actual game. Like, I don't know how many other teams do this kind of thing, but I love that the Chiefs do it. I love that Andy Reid's a student of history of the game, and a history of the Kansas City Chiefs. Hang tight with me just a minute. I'm going to get a promo tweet out on Twitter for the podcast. We're going to do that. Make sure we get some more Chiefs fans in here. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a solid and hit that like button, and let's get a little bit more of a lively crowd in here on a sleepy Thursday for the podcast. All right, give me just a second here. All right, more news to get to. Chiefs uniforms. The Chiefs are going to be wearing their white uniforms in the Super Bowl, the away jerseys with the bright red letters, which I'm kind of jacked up about. They've worn the all reds. They wore the all reds home uniforms in the loss to Tampa Bay. They had the white jerseys on the last time they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl. They won that one. And of course, they were wearing red the first time they won the Super Bowl in 2019 with, when they played the 49ers. So the Eagles are the designated home team in this year's Super Bowl. So they got first choice. They're going to wear their green uniforms. So the Chiefs are going with the all white. As far as, and let me know in the chat, like, do you think it matters what color the Chiefs wear? I like to try to get, if I can, get the jersey with the Super Bowl patch on it and have the one that they wore in the actual game. So I'm a big fan of the white jerseys, even though you can't touch anything without getting it dirty. So that's kind of a problem. But let's see. Oliver Garrett says in the chat, Kansas City, Chiefs Nation, all the way. Yes, sir. We're going to win in New Orleans. That is the right attitude, man. I never in my wildest dreams thought we'd be in another Super Bowl like this fast, but it's fantastic. Bill says it doesn't help Patrick that it's raining. Where is it raining? Is it raining in Kansas City? Chiefs 65 toss power trap says red bottoms, white tops are my favorite. I like when they wear the all whites. I think it's just such a fresh look. I really dig it. But nothing for me, I think, trumps the just classic red top, white pants that they wear. Yeah, it's fun when they do like prime time and they do like the color rush where they wear all red and stuff. But Bill says the 90s all whites were awesome. Yeah, indeed. Alan F says, I see Justin Tucker is allegedly following Deshaun Watson's career path. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that news today. Not good. for old Justin Tucker. You can read about it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it here, but that might be it for him. He already wasn't kicking well, and now, yeah, just look it up if you want. Okay, so I want to get to our guy Travis Kelce here. Or I'm sorry, we're not going to talk Kelce. Yes, we are. So Travis Kelce, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is really cool on the news front here. Nico Remigio was on Kay Adams' podcast, and he's talking about his run back and stuff. And the crazy thing about that really crucial Nico punt return against the Bills was that it might not have happened if it wasn't for Travis Kelce. So here's what Nico had to say. I got the quote here. He said, that was the first punt that they kicked, and I went and fair caught it on the 10. He said, really, I had some room and I had an opportunity to take the punt, but I was like, man, this is my first time being in the AFC Championship game. Let me just get my feet a little bit wet a little bit. I went and ran to the sidelines, and Kelce was like, that's not being great. And I'm like, he's right. I went out there on the next punt, and I was like, I'm taking it regardless. And he was the first one to greet me coming to the sideline. And he was like, that's how you be great, dog. And I was like, man, this is a dream. This is one of my favorite Chiefs stories ever. Like, it's just so amazing. We miss so much stuff, right? We're watching on TV. We're not on the sideline. Sometimes we get a glimpse behind the curtain. It makes me think of the 13 seconds game against Buffalo, where Travis basically engineered that drive and gave a tip to Tyreek that helped Tyreek get the first chunk of yards. And then he figured out what the Bills were doing and told Mahomes exactly what they needed to do to get into field goal range. And Andy's talked about how Travis is kind of like a coach on the field. He's grown and matured so much over the years. And, you saw it in that clip against Buffalo. Well, here's a guy, Nico Remigio, who was on the team last year but wasn't a contributor. And then this year, he gets the call up. He's returning kicks and punts for them, and he fair catches that ball. And I remember thinking it as a fan watching at home when he fair caught that first ball. I was like, get a little bit of room there. He could have returned that, and then we were backed up a little bit. And Travis Kelce, to a young player, says, basically, don't be afraid. Like, he didn't like knock him, like, hey man, he was just like, hey, that's not how you be great. Like, the way he framed it is so smart, and it's such good leadership. He's not chastising him for not returning it. He's telling him he's framing the moment for Nico Remigio in that, right? He's framing it. We're in the AFC Championship game. Every time we have a chance to touch the ball, we don't want to be reckless, but like every time we have a chance to touch the ball, we have a chance to be great. And if you've got room and you're playing it safe, you can't be great. That's not going to lead to greatness. I mean, what happens if Travis doesn't say that to him? Like, maybe he still returns that, but like, what's his mental state? How's he thinking about it? Maybe he freezes up, right? Okay, I'm going to return this one. But what was he thinking about? He was thinking about being great. And I'm a big believer in manifestation and manifesting the things that you want, putting them in your mind, visualizing them, and it eventually leading to success for you or achieving the thing that you want. And I think in that moment, Nico Remigio was visualizing greatness. And I don't know exactly what voodoo, mojo, whatever it does, but he gets that huge punt return and sets the Chiefs up. And without it, they might not win that game because the game was played on a razor's edge. It was fantastic. Chiefer says that he would have fair caught the next one. It was close. Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think you might be right. Like, it was a little dicey, and maybe that helped him. That they thought he was going to fair catch it. I'm just so proud of Nico for taking the note and having the guts to do it. And I'm so excited for him. He's been such a fun contributor in preseasons and his flash potential. So it's really cool to see him making an impact on special teams, but also taking the note from a guy like Travis Kelce. What incredible leadership. And that's the difference between a team like the Chiefs and a team like the Bills is leadership, coaching, and experience. The Bills are really good. They're good enough to beat the Chiefs. They do it pretty much every season, but not in the playoffs, not when it matters. And that's just a tribute to the people that the Chiefs have in their building, coaching, the stars, all the way down. Awesome job by Nico and Travis Kelce. Love that story. Okay, next news note here. Right here on the Arrowhead Addict podcast this week, we had Gronk. Sterling Holmes talked to Gronk, and he was asking him about this Chiefs dynasty and this Chiefs run. Gronk's been making the media rounds, and I've always liked Gronk. I know we always get into that argument sometimes with the Patriots fans about who's the best tight end, Travis or Gronk, and they're always like, Gronk is Gronk blocked and all this stuff. But Gronk himself is a fun guy, and he's super chill. And I actually saw an interview with him today. I think he was on the Today Show, and they asked him about the Chiefs and if the Chiefs complete this dynasty, and they asked him about Kelce and what he thinks of Kelce and all the records that he set and how he's broke a lot of Gronk's records in the playoffs. And Gronk was like, and they were like, does that bother you? And Gronk was like, no, man. Like, he was like, I'm confident. Like, I won 4 championships. Like, I'm really happy with how my career turned out. And it's really great to see a guy like Travis Kelce working so hard and doing all these great things. But like, I'm happy and content with my career. And like, you have some guys, right, that are like, oh, I want Saquon to break my rushing record and all this stuff. And it's like, man, Gronk's got the right mentality. I'm happy with my career. Records, whatever, that's great. I know I had a successful career. I don't need to sit here in my retirement stewing about a fact that another guy might be a little bit better or take down some of my records. And that's what it's about, right? It's about focusing on yourself and not others. So shout out to Gronk for that. But Sterling talked to Gronk, and I got some quotes here that I wanted to read to you when he was asking him about the Chiefs. I think it's great. Excuse me. He said, in regards to the Chiefs, everyone's gunning for you because you're the champions. Everyone else wants to be the champions as well. So you're getting everyone's best shot. And in order to stay on top of your game and stay above everyone else, because you're getting their best shot as well, is that you have to be able to amp it up week in and week out. That's what we did with the Patriots. We kind of figured out an angle or a different way every single week in order to win the games. We stayed on top of each other and we held each other accountable every week, so no one was slacking. You got to make sure that you're dedicating yourself every week in and week out, and that you're putting in the work as well to stay on top. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, and it's nothing short of impressive of what they're doing as well. You've got to appreciate it because they're putting the time in. They're dedicating themselves to the game of football. They're finding ways to win games, and given the situation that's presented to them, they're going for the three-peat now. Anyone that's going for 3 championships in a row, that's never been done before, by the way, is just incredible. You just have to appreciate that because you know how much work and time they're putting in, just like we did with the New England Patriots. Man, I love these quotes by Gronk. It's so interesting. And it's like in a time where we're dealing with so much hate and crazy conspiracy theories and all this other BS from opposing fans, like look at what former players, by and large, people like Gronk, Brady's been asked about this, a few times. What are they saying? They're saying stuff similar to Gronk. Like, you don't understand how hard this is. It's amazing what this team is doing. And they appreciate it to have gotten to the level that the Patriots got with Brady and Gronkowski, and to get to the level that the Chiefs are at right now. You have to work incredibly hard. Like, everybody's good, right? He's like, you're getting everybody's best shot. Everybody in the NFL is fantastic. All the coaches are really smart football minds. They're working hard. They're practicing. They're saving stuff during the regular season to try to use on you. So to get an edge over people like that, the best of the best of the best of the cream of the crop, imagine how hard the Chiefs work. Imagine their level of focus and their attention to detail, right? You see we talk about it all season long, about how the Chiefs are using it as one long preseason. Nick Wright calls it practice, but it's the same thing. The Chiefs are working it out. And maybe you see some turnovers. They had a lot of turnovers. Mahomes was throwing a lot of interceptions. And as they start to get to the second half of the year, they figure things out. Mahomes starts throwing interceptions. They stop turning the ball over as much. Things start to look a little more cohesive. That is because this is a championship level team and everything they do is in pursuit of that championship, but that they do it one step at a time. And that's why, like, when you see graphics, like I saw one this morning, somebody was passing around on Twitter. It was like, oh, excuse me, the Chiefs, they were like way at the bottom of the league and explosive run and explosive pass rate. And, it's like, who cares? Who cares? How much, who had a really explosive offense? The Detroit Lions. Fat lot of good that did them. The Green Bay Packers were up there. Fat lot of good that did them. Where are they now? Sitting at home. Or when people try to criticize Mahomes because they don't have the explosive plays anymore or a lot of the deep downfield shots. I saw the clown Skip Bayless on his whatever platform he's on now, his own, talking about how Mahomes isn't explosive anymore and he's boring and he's a dink and dunk guy. Like, that's a negative. Dude, all these guys care about is winning football games. They don't care about stats. They don't care about winning MVPs. Travis Kelce, after the game, standing there with Taylor Swift and his mom, and she was like, hey, you did a really great job of blocking for Patrick on that run, on his run. That was really crazy. Really, it was like really cool. And Travis was like, I'm trying to win a three-peat here, Mom. I don't care. I'll run through a wall. Like, it's just so cool to have a team that, after watching the Patriots for all those years and like being jealous and annoyed at them winning all the time, I can't believe it's us. I can't believe it's us. I can't believe we have these guys. We have these Hall of Famers. Shout out to Paddock. Is that how you say it? Chris in the chat says Dave Tobe always getting the best of our special teams play. That's true, man. Like, how many times now in the playoffs have we had a big return or a big teams play that matters? Dave Tobe showing up. The Chiefs pulling out plays that they've never run before. That's the coaching advantage. It's incredible. We're so lucky to have this team. All right, I got to let you guys know that the best app for your big game party is actually on your phone. It's called Underdog. Underdog is a place to cash in on all your takes during the big game, which players are going to go off, which ones are ice cold. Make your entries in just a few taps. Every dog deserves a second chance. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. With Underdog's double flex option, you can take 2 L's and turn them into a W. You guys have heard us talking about Underdog all season long. It's been a ton of fun. I can't wait to do a little Underdog for the big game. So look, it's the place to play. Underdog is the place to play. Pick them. So just download the app and sign up with our code. Great way to support the show, Arrowhead Addict, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, that's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Must be 18 years or older, 19 years and older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 years and older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line 1-877-8-HOPE New York or text HOPE New York. Okay, so look. I tweeted this morning. I had a rough night. I don't know why. I couldn't sleep. My son, Rory, he's 8 months old as of yesterday. He's been great, man. He slept all night long, I think for 12 hours, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you got to go in there a few times. He sleeps pretty good, but you give him his binky back, or he gets in a weird spot in the crib and he gets upset and you got to go drag him back to the middle. You parents know what I'm talking about. So like last night, I went to bed super early. I was tired. I think I went to bed at like 9:10. I know I'm lame, but I got a kid. What do you want? And at like 3:30, I woke up and I could not go back to sleep. I started thinking about work shit, Arrowhead Addict, the Super Bowl. It was a busy time of year. So I just gave up and I got up and made myself a cup of coffee and some breakfast and started doing some work around 4 a.m. And I started, it's just like, and look, you guys are all going to get mad at me about this, okay? And I tweeted it this morning, a whole thread. And maybe I'll read you the thread. But I thought to myself, why don't the Bills hire Steve Spagnuolo as their head coach? And look, before you all go off on me, This is not something that I want to happen. I'm not trying to help out the Bills here. They're not going to listen to me anyway. They should, though. But I'm going to read you the thread, okay? And I got a lot of pushback from people. I said the Buffalo Bills should consider replacing Sean McDermott with Steve Spagnuolo. Spags is insanely qualified and deserves another shot to be a head coach. And also, he owns the AFC offenses. Spags has been a key difference between winning and losing for KC. If you're Buffalo, why not deal a critical blow to the one team constantly standing in your way of making the Super Bowl? Defense, not offense, has been KC's strength during the Super Bowl run. It starts with Spags. And who better to scheme against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in the playoffs than the guy who's been going up against their wizardry in practice for years? Sean McDermott is a good coach, but he hasn't been able to get the job done. Joe Brady did a tremendous job with the Bills offense. They're potent and Super Bowl ready. Add Spags to lead the staff and install his defense, and I think you've got a real shot to get by KC. As a Chiefs fan, I don't want this to happen, but I do want the best for Spags, and I would like him to finally be given the opportunity to be a head coach again. The Bills hiring Spags seems like the biggest no-brainer ever. I hope they don't see this threat. Now, you know, I got the responses that you can guess, right? Like, Chiefs fans are like, watch your mouth, you know, delete this, leave Spags alone. We don't want anybody. Look, I don't want anybody to take Spags away. But there were a few other people who were not Chiefs fans who were like, this is crazy. My brain would melt if this happened. And they're acting like it's this nutty, crazy concept. And on one hand, I guess I kind of get it, right? Sean McDermott has won a lot of football games as coach of the Buffalo Bills, been to a couple AFC Championship games. Do you fire a coach that has had that much success? And to those people, I ask you this. How many times does Sean McDermott get to fail at the ultimate goal before you realize he's maybe not the guy to get you past Kansas City? Because that's what this is about, right? If there's no Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, the Bills probably have a Super Bowl right now. Like they've been to a Super Bowl for sure with the team that they have. And you know, I think have probably at least won one of them. But it hasn't worked out. The Chiefs are really, they're the NFL's final boss. But like for the Buffalo Bills, they've played this level over and over and over and over again, and they've lost every single time. Sean McDermott, in an alternate universe, is a Super Bowl winning coach, but in the universe in which he exists, he's not good enough to get by the Chiefs. So I'm not saying fire Sean McDermott for the sake of firing Sean McDermott. Like, oh, let's just, you know, let's hire Josh McDaniels or some idiotic move like that. No, of course, that would be stupid. There aren't a lot of better options out there for the Bills than Sean McDermott. But Steve Spagnuolo is almost certainly a better option than Sean McDermott, especially if you believe in Joe Brady and that offense is going to keep humming. You're not getting Spags to come and be your defensive coordinator if you're Buffalo, right? Like he's not. Why would he do that? He's staying in Kansas City. He's got to be a head coach. So one of the arguments against it, people are like, they bring up his record when he was the head coach of the Rams. That was over 10 years ago. The Rams were dreadful. They won, I think, a combined 5 games in the 2 previous seasons before Spags took over. His first season, they were really bad. Mark Bolger was his quarterback, who was in his 30s at that point. They had no receivers, no tight ends. They did have Steven Jackson. And then they drafted Sam Bradford. And in his second year, Spags, I think they went 7-9. And then they had a really bad season the next year. But again, you look at the roster, they had nobody. And Sam Bradford didn't turn out, he was a bust. Is that Spags' fault? Now look, could Spags have been a better coach? Yeah, probably. This was his first shot. He got 3 years, and they moved on from him. So people act like he was taking over the current day Kansas City Chiefs or the current day Buffalo Bills when he wasn't. He was taking over a garbage team, number one. Number two, they act like he's the exact same guy he was over 10 years ago when he got that opportunity for the first time. Everything's different, right? Steve Spagnuolo's had a ton of time to grow, develop as a coach. He's won 1 billion Super Bowls since then as a defensive coordinator. He's tried to defend Patrick Mahomes in practice. He's worked close with Andy Reid. Like, what are we doing here when we make that argument? It's dumb. Somebody says Bradford was good. He was just hurt all the time. I mean, he busted out. Like, I don't think he was ever going to make it as a quarterback in the NFL. Injuries or no. But listen, again, look at this from the perspective of we've got to get past Buffalo. We've got to get past the Chiefs before Buffalo. Spags is such a huge part of the Chiefs winning these games against the Bills. Like his blitz packages, everything. If you make him your head coach, if you're Buffalo, you're taking that away from Kansas City. Yes, it feels like the Chiefs are just like a win machine. Steve Spagnuolo is a massive part of the success of this team, especially the last few years. You just removing him from the picture altogether, forget about whether or not he ends up being the head coach of the Bills, would be a wonderful thing for all of the NFL. Chris Jones said it after the game. He was like, as long as you guys, after the AFC Championship game, he was getting interviewed, and he was like, basically, as long as you guys, meaning the rest of the NFL, keep failing to hire Steve Spagnuolo as a head coach, like, we're going to keep beating you. So, like, thanks. Like, the Chiefs' own players are like, yeah, you guys are stupid. You hire this guy as a head coach. So if you're the Bills, and like, it's not too late for them to go down this road. Again, I don't want them to do this. I want to keep beating them. I want Steve Spagnuolo to retire a Chief. But if you're the Bills, you've got, like, there are no more head coaching candidates out there that you want to pursue. Spags did his interviews, he didn't get a gig. And you're sitting there and you're like, all right, we're going to watch the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, I would call Steve Spagnuolo after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and complete the three-peat. If I'm Buffalo, on the DL, I'd be like, are you interested in this job? Would you do it? Because he might not, right? Like, there might be, I think he would, right? I don't know the guy personally, but it's too big of an opportunity to pass up. It's possible there's a small part of him that would be like, I don't want to do that to the Chiefs. I don't want to go to Buffalo, the biggest rival. Like, but, in reality, the money plus the opportunity he probably only would get one more shot. He's 65, I think, to be a head coach in the NFL. I think he would take it. And I think the Chiefs would encourage him to do so. I don't think they would get salty about it because they love Steve. Why wouldn't you just call if you're Buffalo and be like, are you interested? And if he was interested, interview him. Bring him in. Because now you deal a huge blow to the Chiefs and you get their defensive mind. Because that's what the Bills are like. They can't stop the Chiefs. So Steve Spagnuolo could draw up a couple plays. He knows the Chiefs so well. Maybe that gets you over the hump. And the people that act like that's a crazy notion just because Sean McDermott has won a bunch of games in Buffalo, he hasn't won the one that matters. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. Let me know in the chat if you guys think I'm crazy. Jalen says Buffalo's not going down that road. I agree they won't because I don't think they're smart enough. Like, yeah, too much pride, says Jalen. It's just like, but like when you really think about it, it's just like, it's like if you were playing any kind of game against somebody, I don't know, like you're playing Monopoly against somebody and they've got hotels on Boardwalk and Park Place and a couple other places on the board. And you've got a lot of monopolies too, but you keep fucking landing on Boardwalk every time before you get all the way around the board and get your go money and you're just getting killed. And if you had the opportunity to just take Boardwalk and Park Place and even things out a little bit more, it just seems like a no-brainer. But teams do this, man. Like they let guys hang around for too long. And look, Sean McDermott may eventually get over the hump. But the biggest thing standing between the Bills and a Super Bowl right now, I think like when it comes to these playoff performances, yes, Mahomes, right? The play's been pretty even between these two guys. Now, I know that Josh Allen had the ball at the end of the game with the chance to win. Mahomes had the ball. He got the lead. Allen had the ball, could have won the game. They went, like 7 plays, 16 yards or something, and that was it. It was over. But it wasn't Patrick Mahomes who stopped Josh Allen on that drive. It was friggin' Steve Spagnuolo. So if you remove him from the equation and the Chiefs said it's after the Super Bowl, who are they going to hire? and bring in. They're not going to be Spags. It would be a huge blow to the Chiefs. And it's even like, it's like a non-starter. You know, Jalen saying the Bills won't go down that road. Like, it's like a non-starter. And I don't think it should be. I think if you're Buffalo, you should be a little bit more innovative, a little bit more bold, and be like, we've gotten beat by these guys 4 times now. They keep winning Super Bowls. We can't even get out of the AFC. And that dude's a big reason why. Maybe we ought to hire him. It's just, I don't get it. Let's go to the chat. Brian says, Spags learned from one of the best defensive coordinators, Jim Johnson. I could see the same with Dave Merritt learning from Spags. That'd be fantastic, man. Somebody's going to have to take over for Andy someday, whether it's going to be Spags or somebody on the staff. Like, I'd like to keep some continuity if we can, because we have a winning formula here. Paddock. Did you tell me how to say your name? Did I miss it? Can you do it again? Paddock, Chris says Buffalo's problem starts with their GM Brandon Beane, who takes zero responsibility for the mistakes he has made. Miller contract, White, Elam, Coleman instead of Mahomes, McDuffie, Worthy. Yeah, man. I mean, they've put together some good rosters over there, but just like Vicha makes some mistakes. But I think sometimes you have to make a bold move. Like, look, you guys know me. I'm from Northeast Ohio. I'm a Cavs fan. And JB Bickerstaff's coached the Cavs the last few years. Cavs have a really young team. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. Like, these guys are young. Jared Allen. Then they got Donovan Mitchell. You have a star. And, like, they go 7 games with the Magic last year. They finally win a playoff series. They get injured. They lose to Boston. Boston was clearly better. And, you know, from JB Bickerstaff's point of view, and they fired him. And from JB Bickerstaff's point of view, like, the Cavs have gotten better every single year that he was there. But the people running the Cavs, Kobe Altman, the GM, thought, I don't know, man. I think that there's more here, and I think maybe JB's not the guy. He makes a change. He hires a new coach. Cavs start the season on like a 15-game winning streak. They have the best record in the NBA. Are they going to win the NBA title? I don't know. But that was not an easy change to make because of what I mentioned. They'd gotten better every single year. But he just evaluated it and said, you know, I think Kenny Atkinson is a guy that can help us get to the next level. You saw it with the Warriors when they hired Steve Kerr. Like, they're a pretty successful team, or Jackson. They get Steve Kerr. So the Buffalo Bills, I think Spags is their ticket to a potential Super Bowl. I think it really evens the playing field if the Chiefs are playing the Bills in the playoffs again. They're not going to do it, though. Oh, great. Okay, it's Paddock. Paddock? Can you phonetically do it? I don't know. He says the biggest gulf between the Bills is the front office. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's part of it. I think it's coaching, though. All versus Patrick Mahomes. If you're in the chat, you are the GOAT. I hope he's here. That would be really cool. Yeah. So look, no more on the Spags Buffalo thing. I know nobody wants him to go to Buffalo, and I don't either. But it just seems like a no-brainer to me, and I was curious to hear everybody's thoughts on it because it just seems like it would. I don't think they're going to be bad, right? Like, I don't think they're going to like Spags. I don't think Spags would be a bad head coach. I think if he walks into the right situation, he makes and the Bills would be the right situation. He makes the Bills better. He makes them better than they are with McDermott. I'm 1,000% convinced. One guy on Twitter was like, "Oh, well, like McDermott's their leader." People love Spags. They love Steve Spagnuolo. And I know some people think some guys are just cut out to be coordinators. I don't believe that about Steve Spagnuolo, man. He's been way too successful. He's a Hall of Fame assistant. He should be able to be a good head coach. And I hope he gets I don't want him to leave KC, but I hope he gets the opportunity again someday. Okay. Enough of that. Chiefs rivals, power rankings. I just thought this would be fun to do so I can rant about some stuff. So I originally started out thinking like, you know, I'll do some of the teams the Chiefs played in the playoffs and Super Bowls, and we'll rank them. But I thought it would be fun to include just all of our rivals that I could think of in the hour before this podcast. So I put together a list. We'll have fun. Let me know in the chat. First of all, you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. But let me know in the chat which rivals I might be missing and what you think of these rivals as I kick them out. I'm going to fire off one more tweet, get some more fans in here from the Arrowhead Addict account. Give me a second. All right. Excuse me. Okay. So Chiefs rival. I think I came up with a list of 31 rivals for the Chiefs. So let's dive in here. 31, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers. Not a team we play a ton, but they beat us in Super Bowl I. It still bothers me. I wasn't alive for Super Bowl I, but it does bother me. So I would love for us to get back to a Super Bowl against Green Bay so that we can exact our revenge. So it's just like in my head, like a classic rivalry. Took them on in Super Bowl I. We weren't quite ready. They took us to task, and I'd like to get them back for it. Number 30, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. I thought about putting them up a little bit higher, but, they're in an NFC team, and the rivalry is really based on the last few years about playing them in the Super Bowl, and we beat them both times. So, in fact, we've been beating them in the regular season too. So, it is a rivalry in my mind because you go up against them at the Super Bowl, but I couldn't put them that much higher just based on the fact that the Chiefs have won both Super Bowls against the 49ers. So we'll stick with that for now. Number 29 is the Eagles. Again, same deal as the 49ers. Plus you've got the little extra spice of the Andy Reid, wanting to beat his old team and all that stuff. We beat him in the Super Bowl. It was a contentious game. We're playing them again. We've played them in the regular season. We lost to them last year. But again, we'll see. They might move up the list if they beat us in the Super Bowl. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But you've got to call it a rivalry now, playing a team in the Super Bowl twice in just a couple of years. So the Eagles coming at number 29. Number 28, the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. Obviously, we seem to play them almost every year in the playoffs, but we always beat them. So they're not higher up on the list in this form, at least. The Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. We've got their number. We own them. We dominate them. We own the city of Buffalo. Let me just knock these out here so I don't lose my place. Okay. Next up, number 27, Marcus Mariota. Screw Marcus Mariota. We've got a lot of playoff pain that we've had to deal with. And I know Marcus Mariota, you probably don't think about him a lot when you think about rivals of the Chiefs. But that damn game against him, the forward progress thing, and then throwing a pass to himself and catching it and adding to our playoff frustration and heartbreak, I had to put Marcus Mariota on the list. I'll always have negative feelings about him, mainly because he caught his own pass for a touchdown and made me want to blow my brains out. All right, number 26, Kanye West. This one's for Taylor, y'all. Kanye West, big-time rival of Taylor Swift, and interrupted her MTV Movie Awards speech. So on behalf of our newer member and the most famous member of the Chiefs Kingdom, give me Kanye West. He can, plus he's nuts anyway, so the hell with that guy. I told you this is going to be a little bit outside of the box here. Okay, next up, number 25, Sean Payton. New coach of the Denver Broncos. Never really had too much of a beef with him before he became the head coach of the Broncos. But two things stuck in my craw with him. One, when the year before he got to the Broncos, he was talking about how it was the worst coaching job ever. And then he came and started 0-4 or whatever. And then after they got their butts handed to them by the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs this year, did you guys see this? Sean Payton was like, oh, well, we felt pretty good about the next game. This clown is so arrogant. He just got his ass handed to him by the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round of the playoffs. And he's talking about after the game that he thinks they would have beaten the Chiefs if they hadn't got their asses handed to them by the Buffalo Bills. It's the most cringe, embarrassing comment from a head coach I can remember in quite a long time. It made me dislike Sean Payton even more. So it goes beyond the fact that he's the head coach of the Broncos and the whole the thing he said before. Like, just complete, what a joke, man. It's like, I would be embarrassed to say something like that after getting hammered in the playoffs. Like, you don't need to worry about, you're worried about playing the Chiefs. You need to worry about getting out of the first round, brother. My God. Like, what an absolute batshit thing to say. And I think that's why the Chiefs are always going to have their number, because the dude just thinks way too much of himself. Can you imagine Andy Reid saying something like that? In a million years, would Andy Reid ever say anything like that? Especially after losing a playoff game. I mean, I have no idea what this dude's issue is. Brian in the chat says, number 4, Broncos 96-97 season. Yeah. There's some more Broncos stuff in here. Don't worry. Number 24, Nick Sirianni. Wanted to put him on here just as a standalone because of the comment that he made walking out of the tunnel at Arrowhead Stadium last year when he was like, "Don't hear anything now, Chiefs fans." Do you guys remember that? And then his team went on an epic losing streak after that. He's another guy that's kind of nutty and I don't really like very much. And now he's the head coach of the Eagles and we have to deal with them. So, heck with him. And that is another thing again, that like, can you imagine in a million years, Andy Reid winning a game against a rival? Like, we beat the Broncos, the Raiders, the Bills or something. Imagine Andy Reid walking out of the stadium, yelling at the opposing fans, and like, after he lost the Super Bowl to them the year before and winning a regular, I mean, that Sirianni moment was the Raiders victory lap of head coaching moments. Like, completely embarrassing, uncalled for, unprofessional, cringe, like any other number of things you want to come up to call it. So Nick Sirianni lands at number 24 on the list. Number 23, the mayor of Cincinnati. In a lot of ways, I kind of like the mayor of Cincinnati because he gave the Chiefs bulletin board material and he set up Travis Kelce for one of the all-time greatest AFC Championship Game podium moments, telling him to know his role and shut his mouth, you jabroni. I mean, it spawned T-shirts. But yeah, what a dork. I can't even remember the guy's name. I wrote a whole article about how ridiculous that was. And that it was amazing that somebody on his stat, what I said was, because somebody filmed him. And I was like shocked that there were actually 2 people that thought him making that video was a good idea because there was somebody behind the camera. What an absolute dolt, man. So that guy's he's on the rival list for good now. Number 22, Kadarius Toney. Number 22 rival, Kadarius Toney. It's weird to have Chiefs or former Chiefs on this list, but look, some of them just deserve to be on the list. That guy did, look, I'll always be thankful for that punt return he had during the Super Bowl. But that guy did so much harm in the subsequent season. It was incredible. The Chiefs would have won more games if he wasn't on the team. It's like, what a complete disaster he turned out to be after that punt return. I'm glad he had a Super Bowl moment. I'm glad it worked out. Brett Veach never has to apologize for that. But that guy, I don't want to see him anywhere near the states of Kansas or Missouri ever again. Woof, woof. Number 21, the Buffalo Bills in the regular season. Look, man, generally to have a rivalry, the other team has to win occasionally. You can't make too many arguments that the Buffalo Bills in the regular season are a bit of a rival for the Chiefs. Yeah, maybe the Chiefs are. I still think that there's a little bit of an element. The Chiefs are not. They're trying to win because number 1 seeds, all that stuff is on the line. But like, it's a little bit of rope-a-dope. Like, I wonder how much stuff the Chiefs, when they play like the Ravens and the Bills in the regular season, that they put into the game plan specifically because like it might work, but because they're setting them up to rope-a-dope them later in the playoffs. It's absolutely incredible. But, I wish the Chiefs would just move on from Kadarius. Chiefs fans would just move on from Kadarius Toney. Never. I'm a grudge holder. Sorry. So Bills in the regular season coming at number 21. Next one, number 20 here. I lumped 3 of these guys together because I was having a hard time deciding which one is the absolute worst. I think I know, but I didn't think that either of any of them were important enough to have their own place on this list. So Adam Shine from CBS, Will Compton from Barstool, and Craig Carton from Fox Sports. These guys are the biggest Chiefs haters, perhaps on the internet. It's incredible. They work in the media. Now I know they work in sports talk. Adam Shine was on his podcast on Sirius like just the other day, talking about how your dude, he was feeding into the whole NFL was rigged narrative, talking about how Taylor Swift, the Chiefs got a penalty in their favor because Taylor Swift had to go to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm sorry, man. I know you're like a shock jock or whatever. That's just fucking irresponsible. Like, get a grip on yourself. Have fun. Say outrageous things. Do the hot takes. I get it. I do it here on this podcast. But, like, don't do crap like that. Do not. That's just insulting and, like, irresponsible. It's insulting to the Chiefs and the Bills, frankly. Anybody saying that game was rigged and the Bills lost because the game was rigged, that's insulting to the Buffalo Bills, who played their ass off all season long, who looked fantastic, and who came up a little bit short, being like, oh, yeah, they only lost because it was rigged. Like, everybody on that field was incredible in the AFC Championship game. It was an incredible game. It was a classic, and it takes the shine off of it. Will Compton, huge Chiefs hater. I think he's mostly troll, but he's super obnoxious about it, so I put him on the list. And then Craig Carton. Now, that guy's, he's on a show, they call it like Breakfast something with Danny Parkins. I love Danny. He might be the most insufferable media person in like the history of the world. If you watch this guy, like, I just can't explain it, man. It's not even insufferable in the way that like Skip Bayless is insufferable. It's just like, oh man, it's like he's next level. It's like he's the greatest of all time of being wrong and terrible. And he hates the Chiefs. He's always coming up with some crazy thing about the Chiefs and how the Chiefs, and he gets a clown suit put on him over and over and over and over again. Like, I'm serious. Like, he's one of the few people that, like, you know, whatever, like Skip Bayless, he's a clown, but like, I can understand like why he has some appeal to people or why he's on TV. You know, a lot of people don't like Stephen A. Smith. I do. I think he's hilarious. I think he's funny. He's ridiculous. He's outrageous, whatever. Like, he's good at his job. He's good at doing what his job is. I haven't the slightest idea how there's one individual person out there who watches any segment that Craig Carton is on and is like, I'm enjoying this. Like, anybody. Even if he's arguing for, like, if he's clowning on the Chiefs and like you're a Bills fan or a Bengals fan or something, like, I would just be like, holy crap, this guy's obnoxious. Like, get him off the screen. Brian in the chat says, number 3, Joe Buck, and Troy Aikman. Yeah, those guys aren't popular right now. Let's see. After the Texans game, Mina Kimes said on her pod that the NFL should mandate ref call less penalties in favor of the Chiefs. People just gloss over her. I didn't see that. I like Mina. I think she's a good analyst. I think she's smart and entertaining. And I don't generally think that she's unfair. So I didn't see that clip. Look, I give people some grace here. Like, people do a lot of TV and stuff. Maybe they're going to say something I don't like, but I think sometimes as fans, we have a tendency to write them off as like, they say one thing we don't like about the Chiefs or agree with. Like, I've seen a lot of people going after Dan Orlovsky recently. I love Dan Orlovsky. I think he's a great analyst. I think he's been a big believer and supporter of Patrick Mahomes for years now. And it's like, maybe sometimes he criticizes something or picks against the Chiefs and like people go off the deep end and they're like, oh, he's a Chiefs hater. No. Those guys I just mentioned, Adam Shine, Carton, Will Compton, those guys are Chiefs haters. Skip Bayless, they're Chiefs haters. I don't think Mina Kimes is unfair. I don't think she hates the Chiefs. I don't think Bill Barnwell hates the Chiefs. I don't think Orlovsky hates the Chiefs. I enjoy their analysis. I think they're fantastic. I think Aikman's got an axe to grind with the Chiefs and Chiefs Kingdom. I definitely do. Ask Josh Briscoe about that. All right, number 19, Arrowhead parking prices. I just did this one for the people. You know, everything's so damn expensive at these sporting events. And I think if you bought a ticket to a Chiefs game, which are insanely expensive, you should get the park in Arrowhead for free. Like, if you flash that ticket, now I know this will never fly and that nobody does this, but I think it would be awesome. Clark Hunt, you're a billionaire. The team makes money hand over fist. And I'm sure it's great. And it's not good business to throw out the parking revenue. Man, cut Chiefs Kingdom a break. There's no better base of fans in the entire entire world in the Chiefs kingdom. The parking lot that they get in line early. They're there the night before. Like if you buy a ticket, they're coming in, they're going to buy a bunch of beer and shit. They spend all their money. We spend all our money on all this Chief stuff. Like let them use the damn parking lot. You know, can you imagine if you had to pay at Walmart to park? Like, of course not. That's insane. And you're going to spend way more money at Arrowhead than you are at Walmart. So Chiefs parking prices, that's one of our rivals. Sorry, it's number 19 on the list. Number 18, Chiefsaholic. Fuck that guy. He makes us look like clowns. Like I'm Mr. Fan. I work for Fansided. I love it. I love passionate fandom. But that dude, the like weird hero worship that people had of him, I always thought was a little bit strange. And then, you know, we get this documentary, which is just embarrassing. And that dude terrified a woman and traumatized her and pointed a gun at her head and said he was going to kill her. Every time I see people make like, fuck that guy, fuck Chiefsaholic. You saw what a scumbag him and his whole family are if you watch the documentary. Embarrassed to be associated with him. Number 17, Adam Schefter. I'm really pissed off at Adam Schefter. What he said on Twitter where he was framing, you know, if people who are sick of Patrick Mahomes getting all the calls, relief is on the way. Man, come on, Adam. You're better than that. And he went on the Pat McAfee show the next day and was defending it, acting like he didn't understand why everybody was so offended and he didn't do anything wrong. He was just presenting facts. Adam, you didn't address the damn criticism that everybody had of you. Nobody was mad that you were saying the NFL was thinking that you were reporting that the NFL was potentially expanding how they do replays. People were pissed off at you and were calling you out for acting like it was because of Patrick Mahomes. You framed the entire report around Patrick Mahomes. There's no reason to do that, man. There's no reason to do that. It calls into question your integrity. It makes people question your integrity. It makes them think you have an ulterior motive. And when you've got a bunch of clown shows out there every day saying the NFL is rigged and that Patrick Mahomes gets special treatment, and then the most popular, the biggest NFL reporter, insider in the world frames a tweet around Patrick Mahomes getting special calls and that the NFL is going to make some changes, these mouth-breathing, paste-eating, knuckle-dragging idiots on Twitter are all like, see, I knew it. The NFL's rigged. The refs are on the take. That's what you were getting criticized for, you dope. Everybody likes Adam Schefter. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's fun and entertaining and stuff. His reports, whatever. But like him to sit on Pat McAfee show and act like he doesn't know why people were pissed off about that is super disingenuous. You're gaslighting everybody, bro. Just own up to it. Say it was a poorly worded tweet. You've had those in the past. It's not the end of the world, but don't act like you didn't do something silly there. All right. That's enough of laying into him. So he has a chance to like fall down on this list, but right now he's high up there, man. We're hot with him. Number 16, Carl Sheffers. Although it was really funny when he was so scared of the crowd at Arrowhead Stadium that his voice cracked. Terrible job in those Chiefs games. And he's definitely on the enemy list pretty much forever. I see you're saying that woman was traumatized with a squirt gun. I don't know if the gun was real or not, but she didn't. That's why she was traumatized, because she thought maybe this maniac in a mask was going to blow her brains out and she was never going to see her family again. So, yeah, if I saw that idiot coming with a squirt gun and I knew it was a squirt gun, I probably wouldn't be traumatized either. Sean says, normally I would say he's gotten too big for his britches, but if you've seen how close to the ground he is, I think he's talking about Schefter. That's pretty funny. Okay, next up, Herm Edwards, or as we used to call him in the early days of Arrowhead Addict, Harm Edwards. Again, he was on our side, but the man just did a lot of damage. I don't know what else to say. It was rough. It was rough watching Chiefs games when he was the coach. It was rough seeing him stand out there with his welcome to training camp sign. I enjoyed Herm as a person, and after he was coaching the Chiefs and he became an analyst, but yeah, don't let him anywhere near the facility again. Number 14, Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock, that absolute worst. Like, he was bad and annoying when he was at the Kansas City Star, but like Now, I've never seen like a bigger phony in the world than Jason Whitlock. Like, he's a guy that regardless of what he says, he believes nothing. Except making money for Jason Whitlock. He's like great value Skip Bayless. And also he was the one that had tried to convince everybody that if the Chiefs just brought Ty Law to Kansas City, we were going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. Glad he's out of town. Number 13, Skyline Chili. I got a lot of problems with Cincinnati, but one of the biggest problems I have is Skyline Chili. You guys have heard me talk about it on the show before. It's dog food, and the fact that Cincinnati even has the gall to hold it up as their famous cuisine when Kansas City has friggin' Kansas City barbecue. Unbelievable. So the hell with Skyline Chili and really everything Cincinnati. Number 12, Sean Merriman. Screw Sean Merriman. I'll always hate Sean Merriman, not because he was a good player, he gave the Chiefs problems, but because he was juiced up to the eyeballs. And while he was juiced up to the eyeballs, laid a dirty hit on Priest Holmes, pretty much ended his career. So I'll always hate Sean Merriman, and I think the rest of Chiefs Kingdom will as well. So he is coming in high on the list for me. I'm really bitter about that. At number 12. Sean says, Herm's that batshit crazy uncle that you just have to like. I do like Herm. I just don't want him coaching my football team. Spence says, did Gruden work his way off of the list? Gruden never made much of an impact with the Raiders for me to even think of him as a rival, so he didn't make the list. Sean says, I love the show idea. Let him have it, Pat. Thank you. It's fun. Okay. Next up, number 11, X Factor. X Factor. Speaking of fans that embarrass us, God almighty. Like, X Factor, that guy, what a clown show, man. What an absolute clown show. You can read about the trials and tribulations of X Factor, and I'm all good with like the Chiefs super fans or whatever, like fun. But that guy, why did it have to be that guy? Like, they would show him on every friggin' broadcast with this stupid X Factor hat. And it's like, did you see after he got out of the hospital, after he got the crap beat out of him in Arrowhead Stadium and got banned, and he compared himself to Jesus Christ. And he said, first of all, he got out of the hospital and he's wearing his scrubs still. He didn't change. And he's limping down the street outside the hospital, and the news interviews him. And he says, Jesus Christ was persecuted. I'll come back fighting. So this guy, with all the like just kind of trailer trash like fan that he was, then he comes to Angry Drunken German, says crack is bad, kids. Compares himself to Jesus Christ. Just absolutely unbelievable. So number 11 is X Factor. Maybe we never see him anywhere near Arrowhead again. All right, we're getting to the top 10 here. Number 10, Scott Pioli / The Patriot Way / candy wrappers / intangibles. I mean, things got so bad under Scott Pioli, who I actually think seems like he might be a nice guy, but was a terrible GM. I mean, things got bad. And the whole story about the candy wrapper and all that crap about the Patriots Way, as if just the fact that he worked for the Patriots, thinking he could come and create the Patriot Way with Matt Castle. It was just such a wrong-headed approach to being a GM and trying to turn the Chiefs into the Patriots. And a lot of us bought into all that crap. And then you hear the story about how he was obsessing about a candy wrapper in the stairwell and how nobody had picked up the candy wrapper. Jesus Christ. No wonder we lost so many games. This guy wasn't worried about what was going on in the field. He's worried about a frigging candy bar I mean, you talk about taking your eye off the ball. And then he was bringing in guys who were washed, like Mike Vrabel, and it was all about, and everybody'd ask about, like, why Mike Vrabel can't play anymore. And he's like, well, he brings intangibles. Dude, draft some good players. I mean, yeah. The only thing that was good about Scott Pioli was that he made so many bad decisions, including putting Romeo Crennel in charge and all that stuff. He made so many bad decisions that we got Andy Reid. And credit to him, he was 2 seconds away from being fired, and he still went with Clark Hunt and helped interview Andy Reid. So hats off to him for that. Yeah, he did bring Justin Houston in for a year, a bright moment in dark times, that's for sure. Angry Drunken German says, I donated money to have that banner flown. Hilarious. Yeah, Sean, X Factor cereal, X Factor pajama pants. I feel like I'm going to throw up every time I think of that guy. Okay, next up, number 9, the Bengals. This is like everything Cincinnati, like the Bengals, they're annoying fans. I know that it really hasn't been a rivalry for a while and we've owned them, but they knocked us out of an AFC Championship game. I think we would have won that Super Bowl. Credit to them. We didn't get the job done. But they're so obnoxious. The fact that they think that they're still like an on-level rival with us after they haven't won anything and they didn't even win that Super Bowl. So they're obnoxious. I've still got them up high on my list. I have quite a bit of disdain for Cincinnati, and I think the Chiefs Kingdom does too. Number 8, the Chargers in the preseason. Just like the Bills in the postseason are on this list and the Bills in the regular season are on this list, the Chargers in the regular season, not quite enough of a rival to get on this list. But boy, do we have to contend with the Chargers in the preseason. Every year, they're going to win the AFC West. Every year, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Chargers in the preseason, huge hated rival of the Chiefs. Number 7, Tom Brady. You knew he had to show up on this list somewhere. He was annoying, beating us when he was with the Patriots. He knocked us out of the AFC Championship game, although it was really Dee Ford's fault. And then he cost Patrick Mahomes his only Super Bowl loss. It wasn't necessarily just Brady, although he did play well in the game. The offensive line issues. Chiefs needed to change the way they play. I actually think that loss was good for Mahomes. I think it was good for the Chiefs. I don't think this three-peat happens without it because it changed the way the Chiefs approached playing football. And I think it forced Patrick to grow as a quarterback, and it wasn't just light show downfield. And I think, honestly, even with the offensive line issues, I think if you take Patrick Mahomes now and transport him back and the game plan changes that the Chiefs have made to that Super Bowl, I think the Chiefs win it. I do. It's definitely not a blowout. So Tom Brady is on there. Cam Taylor-Britt's got to be top 5. Oh, the heck with that guy. I lump him in with the Bengals on this one. Okay, let's see. Next up, number 6, the Broncos. Self-explanatory. Hate the Broncos. They're the worst. Dealt us a lot of losses in the 90s. Can't stand them. Number 5, Elway. Had to have Elway on the list. Not only did we have to deal with him when he was a player, then he became the GM, and it worked out generally pretty well because he was a shitty GM and couldn't find a quarterback for them. But the only good thing he did, which cost us more pain and heartbreak, was getting Peyton Manning and convincing him to come to the Broncos when he should have come to Kansas City. So that sucked. So Elway, long hated, always hated. Number 4, the Colts in the playoffs. Colts in the play. Now I know we defeated that ghost. We got that monkey off our back, but I'm still not over it. I'm still not over all the losses that we had the Colts in the playoffs. And so even though we've got their number now, just always have a friggin' problem with that team, even sometimes in the regular season, and some really traumatic stuff, the Colts in the playoffs. Sean says Brady really hurt the dynasty. Take 2 away from him and give Pat and the boys what a difference. Yeah, I mean, look, he's the GOAT. Right now, he's the GOAT. I think Patrick Mahomes is greatest of all time, but like consensus with as many Super Bowls as he won, Brady, you have to give him the GOAT, and I think Pat's going to run him down and avenge all this stuff. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. Okay, number 3, if you have children in the room, you might want to ask them to leave. Stick their fingers in their ears. I don't want them to hear this. Lynn Elliott. No explanation needed. Number 3, Lynn Elliott. Number 2, the NFL is rigged tinfoil hat people. These people, I already mentioned it, knuckle draggers, paste eaters, have to be the dumbest group of people in the history of the world. And there's a lot of them. A lot of them. They're all over the place. Thinking the NFL is rigged. Do you know how dumb you have to be to think the NFL is rigged? It's insane. These people, I despise them. They're higher on the list than Elway. That's how much I hate. Again, this list is fluid. It can change, but that's how much I hate these people right now. trying to take away this from this amazing thing that the Chiefs have done and what they've accomplished, not being mature enough, even as sports fans, hate the Chiefs. Fine. I get it. They beat your team all the time. You're sick of them. You have Chiefs fatigue. That's all normal. That's all in good fun. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. But to try to take away from what this incredible Chiefs team has done with this bullshit is because you're not a mature enough sports fan to sit back and be like, yeah, man, those Patriots teams were pretty good. There was some shady stuff, but like they were really good and they won. They just were better. And this Chiefs team, no shady stuff. You're inventing shady stuff, and you're an immature person if you can't just admit that the Chiefs are good. It is what it is. They're not getting special treatment. They don't get, it's all proven false. And if you're actually one of those people out there saying that, I don't know what to say, man. Grow up. Grow up. Angry Drunken German says that the NFL is rigged. Why aren't you betting and winning big money like me? Yeah. Bet the house and the mortgage on the Chiefs. Take your wife's wedding ring to the pawn shop because you know the Chiefs are going to win this Super Bowl. Everybody should be getting rich. Not going to happen because it's all hot air. It's all people not wanting to face things they don't like. And lastly, number one, the Raiders. I mean, you knew who was going to be number one. Hated Raiders. Hated rival. Can't stand them. Max Crosby. Now they got Pete Carroll. The Raiders, we could beat the Raiders for 100 years straight, and they'd still be at the top of my list. They're the worst. All right. But this is going a lot longer than I anticipated. So listen, I'm going to speed run this because I have to get these. You guys know Arrowhead Addict podcast. We've been on the road to 400. We wanted to get to 400 reviews on Apple Podcasts before the season was over. And you guys backed my play. And so did the Chiefs. The Chiefs kept winning, so the season didn't end, and they made it to the Super Bowl. And you guys pushed us over the limit. We're at 401 reviews. If you leave a 5-star review on the Arrowhead Addict podcast on Apple Podcasts, and we're going to read it on the show. If you ask us a question, we're going to answer it. I'm going to do some of those right now. Big celebration. We made it to 400. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so grateful. All season long, I've been asking for your help, and you backed my play. So from Matto Drums, Top 5 Chiefs Pod, I appreciate the hard work that goes into these podcasts. Patrick Allen is an excellent point guard, setting up Matt Verderam and others. Where'd Matt Connor go? Thanks for putting non-football topics toward the back end of the show. Thank you for consistently delivering the goods. Really appreciate that comment. We try to take the feedback from you guys about, some of the non-football content, let you listen how you want to listen. Matt Connor's still here. He's been on the pregame shows. He's just got a big workload over at arrowheadaddict.com. So he's in and out, but he's been on all the pregame shows, or most of the pregame shows this season. Okay, next up, Don't Be Carl. I love it. Inside joke if you listen to my rant on the paste-eating NFL conspiracy people. My go-to for great Chiefs content. Chiefs fan since 1987, live in California. This podcast has it all. Great content and analysis with a humorous flair. Thank you all for good work and for bringing great entertainment. Go Chiefs, and don't be Carl. Don't fucking be Carl. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave us that review. Next up, Caleb C58, Best Chiefs Podcast. You guys are the best and have the best content of all the Chiefs podcasts I've listened to. You make my drive to and from work more enjoyable. LOL. I appreciate the time and dedication you guys put into this podcast, and I recommend it to everyone I know. Keep up the awesome work, and go Chiefs. Go Tigers as well. #MIS. Caleb, thank you so much. I love listening to podcasts in the car when I'm taking my son to daycare. It's the only time I get to do it now. So really appreciate you spending some time with us on your commute. And I'm glad we provide you some entertainment. Next up is Nothing But Love from Michigan. Recently found you guys and loved the show. Chiefs info is so hard to come by in Michigan, and you guys are clutch. My son and I are currently road tripping from Michigan to KC for the AFC Championship, and this show is fuel powering the rocket. Oh, I'm so glad you guys so sometimes these reviews come in a little bit late when Apple approves them or however it works. I'm so glad you guys got to go to that AFC Championship game. I'm so jealous. It was an incredible game. I hope you ate a shit ton of KC barbecue and enjoyed yourself. And I'm so glad the Chiefs pulled it off for you. Thank you so much for the review. Dr. MGM says, best pod for the Chiefs content. I'm originally from Mexico and came to college in KC in 2002. My first Chiefs game was a preseason game at Arrowhead versus the Texans. 2 weeks after my arrival, I had the honor of meeting Mr. Lamar Hunt, and I was sold from that moment on. Having been a Chiefs fan for over 2 decades, has had a lot of ups and downs. Having this kind of outlet would have made a lot of those playoff heartbreaking losses and awful seasons better. I still can't believe this is real. Glad to have you all witness the golden years. Long live Arrowhead Addict. Go Chiefs forever. Amazing. I'm so jealous that you got to meet Lamar Hunt. I never got to meet Lamar Hunt. I didn't get out to Kansas City for a game until after he passed away. As you know, I wasn't born in Kansas City. What a really cool story, and what a way to set up your now 2 decades long Chiefs fandom. Thank you so much for the support. And lastly, we've got Mahomes-aholic, better than Chiefs-aholic, the soundtrack of living the good old days. All of the hosts are knowledgeable and passionate without being homers. They speak to the good, the worrisome, and the need to get better about the Chiefs. Could not have a better group cover the greatest era in the kingdom. Oh, you guys are so amazing. Thank you so much. You know what starts now, right? I'm not going to hammer you too much, but the road to 500, we got to get that sucker up to 500. But it's so important when you guys leave these reviews. It boosts our rating in the store, and that means more Chiefs fans who maybe don't listen to Arrowhead Addict can find us on the audio version. We've got pretty good reach on YouTube, but we're always trying to continue to grow the platform. When we grow the platform, it helps us make a little bit of money. We invest every cent back into the podcast and pay our hosts and all those types of things. So it's just so valuable when you guys do these little things for us. And of course, if you want to get to know us a little bit better, join the private Discord, all that stuff, check out the link in the description, become a member. I'm going to get out of here. When I'm going solo, I think it's going to be a short show. It's going to be 30 minutes. But as my mom has always reminded me, since I learned to talk, I never shut up. So I guess it's good I have a podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you to everybody in the chat who was so active and for hanging out with me for an hour and 20 minutes here, especially to producer Richard, who probably wants to wring my neck right now. Listen, the next time we see each other will be in New Orleans. We're leaving on Sunday. We're going to be down on Bourbon Street. If you're going to Kansas City, or if you're going to Kansas, if you're going to New Orleans for opening night, for the game, for anything, I would love to say hi. We want to say hi to you. Hit me up at @RPatrickAllen on Twitter. My DMs are open. You can send me a DM there. Let me know. Maybe we can do a little bit of meetup if there's enough of you guys down there. But at the very least, if we're out drinking and having fun on Bourbon Street, I'd love to say hi and meet as many of you as we can and shake your hands, because your support means the world to us. And it'd be so much fun to celebrate another Chiefs Super Bowl with all of you, win or lose. All right. That's it for me. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back with our regular slate of shows next week, plus a ton of extra live from New Orleans on Radio Row. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Until we meet again, go Chiefs.